Shalom, shalom, everybody. Shalom, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back to Reading with SHILO. We're in here with the last chapter of Miss Ali's book. We're here for the last chapter. Chapter 6. Chapter 6 of The Urban Survival for the Years to Come by Miss Shahrazad Ali. Man, we're going to try to finish off the book tonight. Chapter 6. Chapter 6. The title is Government Plans for the Unready. Government Plans for the Unready. And we're going to see what she's talking about. You might not have no plans, but she say the government got plans for you. You don't want to prepare? That's fine. That's fine. The government going to prepare for you. But I don't know if you're going to like what they got planned. But we're going to see. Let's see what she's talking about in For the Unready. Already. Starting the humbuggery already. Government plans for the unready. The entire American system is for administering aid to the needy is based on a battlefield or disaster medical term called triage. This comes from a French word which means to sort. It is traditionally used for sorting injured people into groups based on their need for immediate treatment. This term will apply when it comes to allocating food, water, and protection. Help will be given where it is perceived to be able to do the greatest good. While some will be in a pitiful condition, they may not qualify for help from the government. This term triage is based on the concept that you cannot attend to everyone, so you must assist those with the best chance of survival. Triage is broken into three categories. Number one, pass over those who can survive without no attention. Number two, ignore those who are too far gone to survive. Like in the other chapter, those people who are in the who may be in the ICUs and stuff like that in the hospitals. So if they too far gone, you can forget about them trying to be helped. Akin to natural selection, only the strong survive, separating the wheat from the corn. Separating the wheat from the corn. This is a system akin to natural selection. Only the strong survive, separating the wheat from the corn. Governments love for their citizens to have a crisis. It gives them an opportunity to write new laws, create new programs, increase taxes, spend money, and impose regulations. Oh man, they love that. They love that. Impose regulations, all under law. The American government is no exception. There are already procedures and laws in place to handle situations like the Y2K, is sure to produce poised for action. The King Alfred plan. For civil disorder, this is an alleged fictional description of what the government is capable of doing based on their secret plans. It is taken from the 1967 book titled The Man Who Cried I Am by John A. Williams, a talented writer and researcher. This passage is used by his permission. This account is similar to a follow-up of the Willie Lynch letter, the King Alfred plan. In the event of widespread and continuing and coordinated racial disturbances in the United States, King Alfred, at the discretion of the president, is to be put into action immediately. Participating federal agencies, the National Security Council, Department of Justice, I don't know what she has these numbers for. 899 to 899, King of England, directed translation from the Latin Anglo-Saxon Chronicles, Central Intelligence Agency, Department of Defense, Federal Bureau of Investigations, Department of Interior, participating state agencies under federal jurisdiction, the National Guard units, state police, participating local agencies under federal jurisdiction, city police and county police. Even before 1954, when the Supreme Court of the United States of America declared unconstitutional separate educational and recreational facilities, racial unrest and discord had become very nearly a part of the American way of life. But the way of life was repugnant to the most Americans. Since 1954, however, that unrest and discord have broken out into widespread violence, which increasingly have placed the peace and stability of the nation in dire jeopardy. This violence has resulted in loss of life, limb, and property, and has cost the taxpayers of this nation billions of dollars. And the end is not in sight. The end is not yet in sight. It is not. It is not. The end is not yet in sight. This same violence has raised the tremendously grave questions as to whether the races can ever live in peace with each other. Each passing month has brought new intelligence that, despite laws passed to alleviate the condition of the minority still is not satisfied. Demonstrations and rioting have become a part of the familiar scene. Troops have been called out in city after city across the land, and our image as a world leader severely damaged. Our enemies press closer, seeking their advantage, possibly at a time during one of these outbreaks of violence. The minority has adopted an almost military position to gain its objectives, which are not clear to most Americans. It is expected, therefore, that when those objectives are denied the minority, racial war, excuse me, my bad, let me read it again. It is expected, therefore, that when those objectives are denied the minority, racial war must be considered inevitable. When the emergency comes, we must accept the total involvement of all 22 million members of the minority, men, women, and children. For once this project is launched, its goal is to terminate once and for all the minority threat to the whole American society. Let's read it again. When the emergency comes, we must expect the total involvement of all 22 million members of the minority, men, women, and children. For once this project is launched, its goal is to terminate once and for all the minority threat to the whole of American society and indeed to the free world. Chairman, National Security Council, Preliminary Memo, Department of the Interior. Under King Alfred, the nation has been divided into 10 regions. See the accompanying map. All right. Yeah. In case of emergency, minority members will be evacuated from the cities by federalizing National Guard units, local and state police, and if necessary, by units of the regular armed forces, using public and military transportation, detained in nearby military installations until further course of action has been decided. Meaning they could put your butt back in slavery. They could put your butt back in slavery. Number one, Capital Region. That's on the East Coast. Number two, Northeastern Region, like New York area. Number three, Southeast Region, Florida. Number four, Great Lakes Region. Number five, South Central Region, it's like Tennessee area. Number seven, Deep South Region 2. It's around Mississippi, Alabama. My bad. Number 6, Deep South Region, Atlanta area. Number 7, Deep South Region 2, Mississippi, Alabama area. Number 8, Great Plains and Rocky Mountain Region. Number 9, Southwest Region. I guess that's around Nevada. Number 10, A and B, the West Coast region. That's all the way from Seattle or from Washington State all the way down to California. No attempt will be made to seal off the Canadian and Mexican borders. Security Department of Interior, combined memo. Department of Justice, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Central Intelligence Agency. There are 12 major minority organizations, and all are familiar with the 22 million dossiers have been compiled on the leaders of the organizations and can be studied in Washington. The material contained in many of the dossiers and our threat to reveal that material has considerably held in check the activities of some of their leaders. Leaders who do not have such usable material in their dossiers have been approached to take government posts, mostly as ambassadors and primarily in African countries. The promise of these positions also has materially contributed to the temporary slowdown of minority activities. However, we do not expect these slowdowns to be a long duration because there are always new and dissident elements to replace the old leaders. All organizations of theirs are under constant 24-hour surveillance. All organization of theirs are under constant 24-hour surveillance. The organizations are, number one, the Black Muslims. Number two, the Student Nonviolent Coordination SNCC. I forgot. Number three, Congress of Racial Equality. Number four, the Huru Movement. Number five, Group of Advanced Leadership or GOAL. Number six, Freedom Now Party, FNP. Number seven, the United Black Nationalists of America, the UBNA. Number eight, the New Pan-African Movement, the TNPAM. Number nine, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the SCLC. Number 10, the National Urban League, the NUL. Number 11, the National Association for Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. Number 12, the Committee on Racial and Religious Progress, CORARP. Note, at the appropriate time to be designated by the president, the leaders of some of these organizations are to be detained only when it is clear that they cannot prevent the emergency. Working with local public officials during the first critical hours, all of the leaders are to be detained at once. Compiled lists of minority leaders have been readied at the National Data Computer Center. It is necessary to use the minority leaders designated by the president in much the same manner in which we use minority members who are agents with the central and federal. And we cannot, until there is no alternative, reveal King Alfred in all its aspects. Minority members of Congress will be unseated at once. That tells you right there. That says a lot. If that plan is real, that says a lot. It says that your position don't mean nothing. Your job doesn't really mean anything. If it's a plan to remove those in power or those in high places like Congress seats, if it's to remove them, then your Congress seats mean nothing. This move is not without precedent in American history. Preliminary memo. The Department of Defense. This memo is being submitted in lieu of a full report from the Joint Chief of Staff. That report is now in preparation. There will be many cities where the minority will be able to put into the street a superior number of people with a desperate and dangerous will. He will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage and knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. The greatest concentration of minority is in the Deep South, the Eastern Seaboard, the Great Lakes region, and the West Coast. While the national population exceeds that of the minority by more than 10 times, we must realistically take into account the following. Number one, An estimated 40 to 50% of the white population will not, for various reasons, engage the minority during an emergency. Number two, American armed forces are spread around the world, and a breakout of war abroad means fewer troops at home to handle the emergency. Number three, local law enforcement officials must contain the emergency until help arrives, though it may mean fighting a superior force. New York City, for example, has a 25,000-man police force, but they are about 1 million minority members in the city. We are confident that the minority could hold any city it took for only a few hours. The lack of weapons, facilities, logistic, all put the minority at a final disadvantage. Since the Korean War, this department has shifted minority members of the armed forces to areas where combat is most likely to occur, with the aim of eliminating, through combat, as many combat-trained minority servicemen as possible. Yeah, they don't like people like me. They don't like people like me who made it back. Retired veterans, all that. Disabled vets, they don't like people like us. Today, the ratio of minority member combat deaths in Vietnam, where they are serving as advisors, is twice as high as the minority population ratio to the rest of America. Below is a timetable for King Alfred tentatively suggested by the JCS, who recommended that the operation be made over a period of 8 hours. Countdown to 8 hours begins the moment the president determines the emergency to be A, national, B, coordinated, and C, of long duration. Let's see what she's talking about, the hours. Let's go. 8th hour. Local police and minority leaders in action to head off the emergency. I guess that's when what's his name, Jesse Jackson and all them. 7th hour, county police join local police. 6th hour, state police join county and local forces. 5th hour, federal marshals join state, county, and local forces. 4th hour, National Guards federalized, held in readiness. 3rd hour, regular armed forces alerted to take up positions, minority troops divided and detained, along with white sympathizers under guard. 2nd hour, all minority leaders, national and local, detained. 1st hour, president addresses the minority on radio or television, gives it 1 hour to end the emergency. Y'all niggas got 1 hour to cease and desist. 0. All units under regional commands into the emergency. 0. Committee report. Surveys show that during the 6-year period, production created 9 million objects, or 1.5 million each year. Production could not despise or dispose of the containers, which provided a bottleneck. However, that was almost 20 years ago. We suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the production problems inherent in King Alfred. End. This is the end of the King Alfred document. We know that there are many of us who will refuse to believe or accept this document as authentic. Some think that America is too modern or too civilized to round up people they consider as being verbally or physically dangerous to their ideas or methods of rulership. All subversives All subversives revolutionaries, and those considered as enemies of the state, USA, will be collected and detained. This has happened many times around the world and right here in America. We can be sure that there's some variation of the King Alfred plan currently on file in Washington, D.C. We saw a glimpse of it during the civil rights marches in Memphis and other places. If a situation arises that even remotely resembles a national rioting problem for the minority population, a plan will be put into effect to militarily round up us and put us into what women and children will be separated and put into what be called detainment camps instead of concentration camps. These camps have been readied since World War II in 1943. This hmm. These camps have been readied since World War II in 1943. And what year we in? This action, and you can see these detainment camps at the borders when they take Hispanic children and they lock them up and they hold them there, and many people are dying in these camps. Ain't no telling what they doing to them. You could be putting that same. If they could do it to them, they could do it to you. This action is not unprecedented for use on red, yellow, or black people right here in America. The law still exists. This year's televised evacuation of the citizens of Kosovo in Central Europe due north of Africa, bordered by the Mediterranean Sea, provides a good demonstration of what the evacuation of a city of almost 1 million people looks like. We have seen men, women, and children, sick and well, walking on foot, carrying packages, fleeing with only the clothes on their backs, scrambling for food, and lining up in front of water trucks, all during the cold of winter. This forced exodus of the Albanian people, allegedly based on ethnic cleansing, gives a true picture of the frustration, demoralization, desperation, and helplessness experienced by people who are militarily suppressed and prodded from one place to another on foot. In Kosovo, only a small number of lives have been taken as of the writing of this book. And yet NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the UN, the United Nations, and the USA are all in agreement to bomb the offending country and try to remove its government. Armed forces and troops from all over, from all over the world have come to the aid of the Albanian refugees. America has already committed to take in over 20,000 Albanians and give them asylum. War tactics and a personal invitation to come to America have been extended to them based on what the government and NATO is calling the humanitarian effort. A show of compassion. NATO is made up of about 19 democracies from around the world. We are a country which is currently throwing poor people, American citizens, off the welfare, claiming they can no longer afford to carry them and support their children. And while NATO and the UN, including the US, which has spent over 150 million, are spending dollars to these white people, are sending dollars to these white people, transporting them to Guyam, and providing them with food, clothing, and shelter. But none of these international organizations lift a finger to help the people of Rwanda, located deep in Africa back in 1994, when over a million Black Africans were murdered, with others forced to leave their homes and flee for their safety. What's up? Come on. The same type of human suffering existed, and we saw visual proof on television of what happening to the people there too. But no one came to their aid. There also was no humanitarian effort or Operation Sustain Hope shown to the Black Africans killed in Nigeria. There was no NATO, UN, or USA military intervention in Rwanda or Nigeria. There was no NATO, UN, or USA military intervention in Rwanda or Nigeria. It seems as if the USA, NATO, and the UN are only interested in defending white people in areas which help stabilize America financially or politically. Africa is not important to them. And in the final analysis, neither are we as African Americans. There is no one to come to our aid from a foreign land, aside from the fact that other countries will be dealing with their own problems. There is no foreign government willing to take on the USA in the military fight, especially over us. Not over no niggas. Not over the blacks, not over the slaves or the cotton pickers. We are not needed. We are dispensable dependents. We are dispensable dependents or descendants. That's not in here. That's another word, descendants. We are dispensable dependents. So it's not out of the question that we too could be rounded up and detained in a place of their designation. They have laws to cover everything they want to do against anybody anywhere. The King Alfred plan is just an example. We already have a similar program called martial law, which is sanctioned under the FEMA program, Federal Emergency Management Act. Originally sanctioned by John F. Kennedy as Executive Order 10997, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Interior, written in 1962. The scope of this order was the Secretary of the Interior shall prepare national emergency plans and develop preparedness programs covering number one, electric power, number two, petroleum and gas, number three, solid fuels, and number four, minerals. These plans and programs, shall be designed to provide a state of readiness in these resource areas with respect to all conditions of national emergency, including attack upon the United States. Reorganization Plan number 1 of 1958, 72 Stat 1799. I guess that's the numbers if anybody want to look them up. Both signed during the Civil Rights era. The next executive order was 10998, assigning emergency preparedness functions to the Secretary of Agriculture. The scope: the Secretary of Agriculture shall prepare national emergency plans and develop preparedness programs covering food resources, farm equipment, fertilizer and food resource facilities, rural fire control, defense against biological warfare, chemical warfare, and radiological fallout pertaining to agricultural activities, and rural defense information and education. Food resources here means all commodities and products, simple, mixed or compound, or complements to such commodities or products that are capable of being eaten or drunk by either human beings or animals, irrespective of other uses to which such commodities or products may be put. At all stages of processing, from the raw commodity to the products thereof, in vendable form for human or animal consumption. For the purposes of this, come on. For the purposes of this order, the term food resources shall also include all starches, sugars, vegetable and animal fats, and oils, cotton, tobacco, wool, mohair, hemp, flax fiber, and naval stores. Y'all need to sit right. If y'all gonna sit up in here, come on, sit right. Come on. You coming up here? Come on. Hurry up. All right. Which side? Come on, right there. There we go. This order means that they, the government, can take complete and total control over all the food and anything that can be used as food whenever they think the need arises. There are other executive orders covering the Secretary of Energy with respect to all forms of energy, the Secretary of Energy and Human Resources with respect to health resources, the Secretary of Transportation with respect to all forms of civil transportation, the Secretary, where is your shoes? Where is your shoes? The Secretary of Defense and Facilities, including construction materials. They have several such orders which, when translated, say and confirm that they own and control everything. Yes, go put your Crocs on. Yes, sir. There is more recent executive order, like number 12919, signed by President William Jefferson Clinton on June 3rd of 1994, called the National Defense Industrial Resources Preparedness, which reads very familiar to the FEMA instruction documents, but they include in Part 4 employment of personnel, Section 601, another paramilitary instruction, nothing that there is established in the executive branch a National Defense Executive Reserve, NDER, composed of persons of recognized expertise from various segments of the private sector and from government, except full-time federal employees, for training for employment in executive positions in the federal government in the event of an emergency that requires such employment. The head of any department or agency may establish a unit of the NDER and train members of that unit. The director of FEMA shall coordinate the NDER program and activities of departments and agencies in establishing units of the reserve. Provide for appropriate guidance for recruitment, training, and activation, and issue necessary rules and guidance in connection with this program. Section 602 of the same document reads, consultants. The head of each department or agency assigned functions under this order is delegated authority under Section 710B and C of the Act to employ persons of understanding, experience, and ability without compensation. Compensation. Good job. And to employ experts. Experts. Good job. Consultants or organizations. Organizations. Almost. The authority delegated by this section shall not be redelegated. This translates to mean that the government can pick up any of us they choose according to our qualifications and force us to help them do whatever they are doing with no choice and no pay as a slave labor. In Part 9, or it's my bad. It's not 9. What's the Roman numerals 1 with an X in front of it? I mean, not 1X. Oh yeah, Roman numeral 1X, 1X or IX. I know the X is 10 and I know the I is 1. But I don't know. Let me see. Let's look at it. Let's look up the Roman numerals. Let's look at Roman numerals. Let's look at Roman numerals. Leave it on that page, man. Let's look at Roman numerals.
I want to read.
You want to read?
Yes, I want to read this one.
Well, you want to read that one? We're going to read that one in a minute. Let's look up this word. Let's look up Roman numerals first.
Oh.
Yeah, we got to look at the Roman numerals. We have to see what the Roman numerals are. Roman Catholic Roman numerals. What are the Roman numerals? Give me that other book. Let's see what the Roman numerals are. Let's see what. No, this one right here. Let's look at this one. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see if we can find Roman numerals. See number table. Let's go to number table. Let's see. All right, here we go. Number table. I guess that's 9. The number table is 9. 9. 1x is 9. 1x is 9. Okay. In part 9, General Provisions, section 901A. Section 901A. Civil transportation includes movement of persons and property by all modes of transportation in interstate, intrastate, or foreign commerce within the United States, its territories and possessions, and the District of Columbia, and without limitation, related public storage and warehousing, ports, services, equipment, and facilities, such as. Huh? You got a potty? All right, let's go potty. Give me a second. Excuse me. Let me go bring him to the potty. Let's go potty. Come on, run to the potty. Shit, my bad. Here we go. Father duty calls. Anyway. Civil transportation shall include direction. Let me go back up. Civil transportation shall include direction, control, and coordination of civil transportation regardless of ownership. Translated, this means that the government can commandeer your car, van, Jeep, or truck and do whatever they want with it for as long as they want to. Section J says health resources means materials, facilities, health supplies, and equipment including pharmaceutical, blood collecting and dispensing supplies, biological, surgical textiles, and emergency surgical instruments and supplies required to prevent the impairment of, improve, or restore the physical and mental health conditions of the population. Section M reads, water resources means all. You have to wait. Give me a minute after I finish reading, all right? Water resources means all usable water from all sources within within the jurisdiction of the United States, which can be managed, controlled, and allocated to meet emergency requirements. In view of any existing national emergency, the government has complete authority under the laws to come into your homes and demand, take our food, water, supplies, and equipment. Mhm. This is why it is so important to buy your food now before the panic begins and everybody else is crowding into every store everywhere. The above described executive orders may sound like a bunch of gobbledygook, double speak, but they contain very pertinent information on our rights as citizens. You have none. You have none. All the way down to our food, water, and car. They can come take all your shit. That's what they're saying. In a time of emergency, the government can come take all your stuff. Yeah, well. One way that she suggested that you keep the government out your business, buy stuff with cash. Stop using your cards to buy stuff. Buy things with cash, and so that way they can't really track how much you buy. You want some more cereal too?
Yes, sir.
Is that how you ask?
Hey, what do I do? Please, Daddy.
All right, I'll give you some more. Let me finish reading, all right?
All right.
Good job. Wow. Concentration camps or detainment centers. We're almost there. Many of our people will ignore all warnings about this upcoming world crisis. They will pretend to the end that all reports are exaggerated by doomsday prophets, survival food store owners, and religious fanatics to gain popularity or make money. Others will be genuinely so traumatized by the situation that they too will become stagnated and so frozen with fear that they will do nothing to prepare. Some of us will throw public tantrums, riot, and burn down their neighborhoods in protest against the government for letting them down, not providing for them, and abandoning them in their greatest time of need. But it is not the government's job to provide for you. It's your job to provide for you. Your job. You go to work. Even if you don't go to work, use what you got and provide for yourself. Learn to provide for yourself. They will demand that the government help them. They will demand that the government help them. And I'm going to say, and then so doing this, they're going to, when they demand for the government to help them, they're going to accept anything. They will accept anything. Just like when the what can I call it? The Raccoon City virus. Shalom, shalom. Just like when the Raccoon City virus came out and people were stuck in a house for months at a time, they will accept anything. Just like when the towers got hit. People will accept anything to get back to some form of normalcy. So you have to be careful what you ask for. You shouldn't want the government hand in everything. But these people who are not prepared, these people who felt like the government do owe them stuff, they will demand that the government help them. For these people, the government already has an emergency program designed to round them up, take them in, and to do it under the pretense of program designed to, and do it under the pretense of providing for them. The majority of our people will accept this invitation. Majority of our people will accept this invitation. Yes, they will. Because they're not preparing. They think everything good. They think everything good. Majority of our people will accept this invitation, especially if their block or neighborhood has been gutted with fire and or disease and pestilence surrounds them as a result of raw sewage flowing from the streets. Some will go voluntarily. Others will reject the offer and have to be forced. The military branch initially in charge of rounding up blacks. Look, we number one, blacks. They're gonna get us first. Rounding up blacks, Latinos, Asians, and Native Americans will be the National Guard. There are many black men and women enlisted in the National Guard and other branches of military service, including police officers. They will either be brainwashed into helping with this task, or they will refuse to participate in this dastardly deed and be arrested and detained themselves. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Many minorities will find that no matter how long they have worked in the system and dedicated themselves to law abidance, voting, going to church, and obeying all the rules of America, all of this will be discounted and the population will be separated by race and class. Dedicated slaves will receive no special recognition or treatment. Tribes will reconvene. Tribes will reconvene. Do you have your tribe together now? You should be having your tribe together now. She has a map, is a location of detainment centers. So you can pause it and see if you see your place. Pause it and see if you can see your place. So I'm in Louisiana. It looked like New Orleans and most likely that's Shreveport. That's probably Shreveport up there, Alexandria. Probably somewhere close to Fort Pope. It's probably somewhere close to Fort Pope. That's not New Orleans down there, but it looked close. That's not New Orleans. But it might be close to it. But anyway. This detainment center, concentration camp, location chart and government reorg chart or reorganization chart are both courtesy of two books of excellent research about the secret plans of government, the secret plans the government has to overpower the private citizens of America and take control of their lives and goods. The books are called America Under Siege and America in Peril, both written by M.W. Jefferson and published by the Freedom and Liberty Foundation in Knoxville, Tennessee. Government Reorganization Act. Compare this map with the King Alfred plan. Let's see. Where are y'all located? Where are y'all located in the government's plan of action? Or what could be the government's plan of action? Let's see. On March 27th of 1969, Richard Milhouse Nixon signed into law the Government Reorganization Act, an unconstitutional, more dividing the United States into 10 regions. A federal region or regional council was set up for each of these 10 regions. And one person selected by the president would be council chairman. Coincidentally, these 10 regions are today the operational regions of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. Coincidentally, huh? An open letter to the people of color in America. Let me see. I think we almost to the end. Got 3 pages. Dear Black sisters and brothers, although we have a natural penchant, P-E-N-C-H-A-N-T, penchant, P-E-N-C-H-A-N-T. Penchant. Let's see. Penchant. An inclination towards. Penchant. An inclination towards, a liking for. Penchant. Although we have a natural inclination towards or liking for to love everyone but ourselves, the time is quickly approaching. The time is quickly approaching when every race in America will only look out for their own kind. We are quickly approaching. Let me see. Let's go to Isaiah. Where is it at? I believe it's Isaiah. We are quickly approaching. Oh man, I haven't gone to the scripture in a minute. Here we go. The book of Isaiah. The book of Isaiah, chapter 12 or 13, my bad. 13, verse 14. And it shall be as a chase row and as a sheep that no man taketh. I'm gonna start up. 13, Isaiah 13 and 13. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place in the wrath of the Lord of hosts, and in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase row, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee every one to his own land. The time is quickly approaching when every race in America will only look out for their own kind. And it shall be as a chase row, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee everyone to his own land. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be spoiled, and their wives ravished. Yeah, people don't want to believe that. It's coming. We have endured much pain and torture here in this country, and we know how that the body heals much quicker than the mind. Our time here has been both a blessing and a curse. Our time here has been both a blessing and a curse. The blessing is the immense freedom of idea we have in this country. The curse is that in order to participate in America, we must reject ourselves. We have become accustomed to either forgetting or disregarding the majority of the standards and values practiced by our ancestors. That's a key. We have become accustomed to either forgetting or disregarding the majority of the standards and values practiced by our ancestors. We have become accustomed to it. Some of these values have been abandoned out of a sincere desire to blend in. What values are them? We could go over and over and over again these values. Like not marrying the other nations, not having certain dealings with them, not eating certain things that may be forced, not celebrating their holidays. Thanksgiving just passed, and plenty of people celebrated that, knowing it's the killing of their people, man. They claim to be Indian in your blood, but you want to celebrate the killing of your people. Christmas about to come up. I'm pretty sure people gonna celebrate that, but that wasn't celebrated by our ancestors. That don't have nothing to do with our ancestors. Some of these values we have abandoned out of sincere desire to blend in, assimilate, and meld with our meld with our current environment. That's no different than what they did in the Maccabees' time. Our rich and sacrificial heritage, have been, for the most part, put aside and replaced with American ideas and tolerances. We have mimicked every European style and posture, and in the final analysis, we have each tried to make the best of what we have been allowed to have. Yeah, let's see what that sounds like. Sounds like Maccabees. Sounds like Maccabees. Go to second Maccabee. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. How they say in America, that we all should be one people. And everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and to the cities of Judah that they should follow the strange laws of the land. We still in that it's the same thing. It's the same thing we're reading about. People have followed the strange laws of the land. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and they should profane the Sabbaths and the festival days. And I can go on. I can go on. Some of them will put to death for not doing this. Some people were put to death. Just like the Indians when they came over here. Some of them was put to death because they didn't want to follow their white Jesus. They didn't want to go with what the pilgrims were trying to tell them to go to. They were put to death. And it'll be the same thing if you don't want to go the way your captors try to push you to go. You could end up being dead. Your life is in their hands. Well, your life is in the Most High hands, but it's your choice. It's your choice what you're going to do. We have mimicked every European style and posture. And in the final analysis, we have each tried to make the best of what we have been allowed to have. But we ought not ever forget that we are all here by permission. Right? Not right. Excuse me. But we ought not ever forget that we are all here by permission, not right. This is not our homeland, and this is not our culture or history. We are in a land entrusted to people who enslaved some of us, illegally imprisoned some of us, attempted genocide on some of us, and forced others into servitude. We are in a land built on the bloody foundation of the red man. The bloody foundation of the red man. We are in a land built on the bloody foundation of the red man, who is called Esau in the Bible, who was unconditionally murdered, of the red man, who was She's talking about the Indians. We are in a land built on the bloody foundation of the red man, who was unconditionally murdered in order to rob him of his property. And she talking about the Indians. We are in a land where the black man was unmercifully robbed of his culture and beaten and brainwashed into being a semi-permanent slave. Our well ingrained and deeply religious upbringing and ever spiritual and every spiritual text we honor concludes for us that America and her notions cannot thrive because her birth canal is paved with the pain and disregard of us. Her very premise is against the will of God. All the gods. We have not produced a God who would be in agreement with America's treatment towards our ancestors. And while many of us feel we are better off here than anywhere else, the price has been high. The cost is one of ongoing duration, each year in eliminating more and more of our vast and vibrant histories. If the situation and breakdown causes a short or long interruption of basic life sustaining services, we had better be ready to take a greater responsibility for our survival until this crisis is over, if ever. Joining back onto our roots is the only way to ensure our ultimate survival and sanity. When we do this, we will all embrace peace, sharing, and dignity. But if the European Americans return to their roots, we can expect bloodshed. But if the European Americans return to their roots, we can expect bloodshed. Oh, you better believe it. Let's read it all together. But if the European Americans return to their roots, we can expect bloodshed, terror, and suffering, because theirs is a history and legacy of abusing people of color for selfish reasons. And the situation created by the fall of the American system will give them cause and reason to act against us again and again. The conclusion. Consider this book a weather forecast. There is a massive storm approaching, headed directly towards us, mentally dead. This problem is not something we should ignore. This is a time when you must have confidence in yourself and faith in your God. This is the time when you must have confidence in yourself and faith in your God. It will be time to walk it like we talk it and see what the so-called conscious community does. Ooh, ooh. It will be time to walk it like you talk it and see what the so-called conscious community does. You woke up. All right, we're going to see. We're going to see. Are you going to have your hand out? Or is your wokeness preparing you now? Is your wokeness bringing you back to what your forefathers did? How to feed yourself, how to get water, how to clothe yourself, how to make and do all these things yourself. Are you doing that? Are you doing that? Are you teaching your children to do that? Are you trying to teach your family members, or are you building yourself a tribe where these things can be done or be taught to be done? Mm-hmm. It has always been said that we are a crisis-oriented group, failing to act until the very last minute. If we wait until the very last moment, we will be left out, naked, hungry, and out of doors. We spend over $800 billion a year on all sorts of unnecessary and recreational items. We have never prepared for any emergency situation, such as a storm, for more than a few days. Being prepared is no longer have a flashlight, a few candles, and extra milk. This time we need to gather all the items we need for basic survival. This time we need to gather all the items we need for basic survival. Don't procrastinate. Don't procrastinate thinking that you can get what you need at the last minute. We don't have that kind of control over materials and goods. We are totally dependent upon the storehouses of others to get what we need. When the time comes, your money will not do you any good if you do not already have what you need for you and your family to survive. This will be a time of hard choices. This will be a time of hard choices. And it already said that in times of these hard choices, hey, a lot of single women gonna leave their children where they at. Woo-hoo. This will be a time of great suffering and doing without. We need a workable plan. We must be organized and ready to do for self. All sport and play will be suspended indefinitely. All sport and play will be suspended indefinitely. And this alone will create extra stress on us. We cannot neglect the potential for harsh weather and the influence of the Creator. Do not become embarrassed or discouraged if others laugh at you for preparing for hell, just as they laughed at Noah. Do not become embarrassed or discouraged if others laugh at you for your preparing for hell. Also, do not be tricked by the newspapers and other media if they fail to mention anything about it at all. You must look for the hidden meaning of symbols. There is already proof of the seriousness of this problem. Many of us, for many years, have honored our enslaved ancestors and praised them for their personal strength and fortitude in the Middle Passage, and for surviving the terrors of early slavery and afterwards. It is their strength we must call upon. It is their sacrifice we must remember in order to get through this ordeal. You will not be able to convince all of your friends and loved ones, no matter how much you warn them, but you cannot let this detour you from preparing for the worst while hoping for the best. The streets will be like a fountain of dripping blood. The streets will be like a fountain of dripping blood. Store up food. Make a first aid kit. Get sleeping bags and extra blankets. Get water purification tablets. Get plastic bags for human waste. Have an alternative place to escape to. Stock up on warm clothes. Get a shortwave radio. Survival is through different aspects of light that has been given out. Wisdom, knowledge, and light has been given to fit any and all occasions that will prevail itself at any given time. To recognize different segments of time has been given. If one fails to recognize it before it is upon you, it is one's own fault. If one fails to recognize it before it is upon you, it is one's fault. It's your own fault. You have eyes to see and ears to hear. Are you going to use them? That's the question. Are you going to use them, and are you using them now before it's too late? Don't wait till the shit explode in your face for you to be like, oh, I see it. Oh, I see it now. Don't wait till it to be like, I see it now. Hey, there is no amount of pity given out, only total suffering when the time has been appointed. This happens individually and collectively due to certain circumstances prevailing. Everything you assemble is useful and can be incorporated into your daily life. We need to have these things on hand anyway. We need to have these things on hand anyway. Yes. We need to have these things on hand anyway. We have taken so much for granted. The next time you take a shower or a bath, look at the running water. Think about how we blindly expect the water to come on every time we turn the handle. Think about all the food we waste daily and all the financial excesses we indulge ourselves in. It may all come to a screeching halt. It may all come to a screeching halt. We can only do our best. We have tried to do our best ever since we were brought here against our will over 400 years ago. We mostly agree that we have been in hell here in America. We mostly agree that we are or have been in hell here in America. Now this hell is threatened. Hell is built upon imperfectness, or it would not be considered as hell. Things are only right to a certain extent due to the people who constructed it. Having imperfect capabilities, we realize that in a situation like this, without divine intervention, not a one of us will be saved. We realize that in a situation like this, without divine intervention, not one of us will be saved. Sadly, as a result of the recent political decisions, we are experiencing the post-election blues. We are apprehensive about what the future holds under the rulership of a leader who expresses his desire to take things back to the old-time America. And this is back then they was talking this out, or they were talking about this. They still want to do that now. Take things back. To old-time America. We fear losing the so-called racial progress we marched and begged for over the past 65 years. Even some white people are concerned, all worried that new directives will affect our housing, health care, wages, jobs, credit, food, and police authority. This little book will help fortify us against the possible hard times coming our way. We best be ready. We best be ready. We best be ready. So that was The Urban Survival for Years to Come by Miss Shahrazad Ali. Man, I hope that it was something that you could learn and grow from in here. Something that can prepare you for things to come. Whether you don't believe that it's going to be, race wars or the end of days or any of that, whether you believe any of that, you could believe in what's seen. Hurricanes, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods, food shortages, electrical power outages. These things you can see. You know that these things are happening. In many places, there are roaming outages where the electricity will be out for, hours at a time on a daily. A lot of you ain't ready. A lot of us aren't ready to live like that. A lot of us aren't prepared to live like that. You've had too much of a cushy ass microwave lifestyle where everything has been handed to you. You've never had to do for anything, really. And especially not this generation. Not this generation. I hear so much that parents want to give their children a better lifestyle than what we've had. But most times, their better lifestyle isn't helping equip them with the survival tactics. They want to give them a TV that they never had, the games that they never had, the tennis shoes that they never had. They don't want them to get clowned how they got clowned in school or to feel the way that they feel. They don't want to whip their children ass like they got whipped. They don't want them out there picking green beans and greens and climbing in trees and picking figs and learning how to can this stuff and prepare yourself for the hard times. They don't ration their children out on the television that they're seeing or the junk foods that they're eating. These are things that we need to prepare for. And if you haven't been doing this, you need to start doing it now. You need to start preparing like Joseph. Let me make sure I'm correct. I said Joseph, but it's probably Josh. Let me make sure I'm right. Man. What's up, man?
Hello, Daddy.
How you doing, son?
You all right?
You doing all right? That's what's up.
You
You want some what?
order
I'm gonna get you some cereal, son. Don't worry. Oh, I am tripping. Yes, sir, I'm tripping. I'm looking where it's not at. I'm looking where it's not at, my boy.
What did you say, Daddy? What did you say, Daddy?
Joseph. I was right. Be like Joseph. Preparing the 7 years of plenty. Be like Noah. Build your ark. That's not how you ask. All right. Give me a minute. I'm going to give you some more cereal, all right? You sure that's what you want? You don't want no fried chicken? You don't want no french fries? I know that. Hold on, wait. Yeah, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself, you know. Start practicing the little things now, man. The little things need to be practiced now. Hold on, son. Everybody should have a little bit of survival skills in their repertoire. So, that's not yours.
That's mine.
That's Daddy book. Give me
My book.
So we'll come back next time and read Miss Shahrazad Ali's other book, Things Your Parents Should Have Told You. And the stuff I'm talking about is stuff your parents should have told you. It's stuff your parents should have told you, man. They don't want their children to learn about slavery or see these things, you know, and they don't want their children, their children to be bombarded with this. But your children need to know, man, history is going to repeat itself. And when it repeats itself, are they going to be ready or are they going to be stuck in this stupor? No, sir. That is my book. The Urban Survival. Yes, sir. We're going to read that one next. Yes, sir. We're going to read that one next. All right. So, yeah, this will be the next one. I might start it tomorrow. We'll probably start it tomorrow. Let's see what she's talking about. Things your parents should have told you. Let's see what she says. It's time for Black youth to know the truth about their parents, America, and themselves. Oh, man, that's something already I want to know. A life instruction manual for Black teens and young adults aged 13 to 29 and older. Huh? And older. Straight talk. Hold on, man. Let me finish reading this, all right? Straight talk. Straight talk advice for African American youth about how to survive in America and live a decent life of aim, purpose, and dignity. Calm down. Featuring information. What I just told you. I told you to calm down. I'm trying to read. Let me finish. There's only a little bit. No, I'm reading this one. I want to read this one. Featuring information on life, work, love, money, babies, education, food, health, religion, sex, and racism. The Black Youth Survival Kit. This probably gonna have some stuff in it that I'm gonna feel like my mama should have told me. But there's a lot of things parents really don't want to talk to their children about, man. But you need to talk to them about it earlier, man. Early. But until next time. But until next time, man. I don't know. Another book down. We'll keep reading. We'll keep moving. I got a couple of other books down here that I kind of want to read. We're gonna read that one next. Get your bike out of here. This is one I want to read. I have never read this one. It's called Out of America by Keith B. Richberg. So this is another one we might dive into. We'll see. But for sure, the next book on the list. For sure, the next book on the list is the things that your parents should have told you. The things your parents should have told you. But yeah, man, that's reading with SHILO. We done for the night. Another book down. We're gonna put it on the mark it off my list. Mark it off my list. If y'all have any other books that think should be read, I'll see if I got it or if I can get my hands on it. I definitely want to try to get my hands on the Frederick Douglass book. I'll see if I can get that. And keep reading, man. We're gonna keep reading. What up, boy? We're gonna keep reading and see what we can learn and grow from. Boy, get out of here. Boy, get out of here. You better get out of here lightning fast. Yeah, shalom, man. SHILO out.
DJ out too.
Till next time.
Next time.
Till next time. Reading with SHILO. Shalom, everybody.
Reading with DJ.
Reading with DJ. You didn't even be up here, man.